Y'all ready to do axis? Here we go.
Hi, I made a thing.
X-axis assembly. I need to get the X-end motor and the X-end idler out of here. X-axis. There we go. Oh, we also need linear bearings from this other bag. Right here. You see both these say X-axis, number 3. That's for where. We're also going to need some screws and stuff, but they're all in the same bag. Okay, so this is step 4 of section 3, where we are right now. It's called X-axis inserting linear bearings. Insert the linear bearings into the printed parts. So let's pull out these couple of printed parts that we need first. Oh, cool. It's the only 2 things in there. So these are the 2 pieces that came out of this package. And here's what they look like. They're big and they're orange. Well, mine are orange. Yours might be black. I don't know. All right, so my pictures show these 2 parts like this and like this. And it's telling me to put 2 of these linear bearings into each of the pieces. So linear bearings, remember these, they're gross, they're in bags with grease, and you know, what are you gonna do? It's greasy, it's gross. And I still don't have gloves. All right, we got our linear bearings out. So the next step is to put them into the pieces, and just like last time, you've got the rows of wheelie bearings in here, and you have to make sure that they are not at 12 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 9 o'clock, but rather 1:30, 4:30, 7:30, and 10:30. Does that make sense? That's how you want to slide these into this piece. It's in the instructions, so don't worry. If you follow the instructions, you're going to be fine. Okay, so here's another one. We put in the same way. And you slide that down into there. It goes all the way to the back. Push it down, and then there's a lip on this side that will stop it from coming out the other side. So that one is good. Let's do this one, same way, into this hole. Line up the bearings. 4:30 and 7:30. Push it in, bearings 4:30 and 7:30. Push it in. Okay, excellent. There's oil all over my table. I do not have a napkin. Okay, so here's an important point that I just missed that I'm going to correct right now. You don't push them both all the way in. The one that goes in first, so I put them in this side, going this way. The one that goes in first goes all the way in to this end, and it stops. The second one, you only push in to the rim of this side. So I pushed it in too far, is what's happening. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to push it back out. That one's good. Now the next one is going to go in the exact same way, but it's going to stop right on the rim, right there. So we're going to do the same thing again. Instead of pushing it all the way down, we're going to stop it. And basically, you will see a tiny little gap. So you got a bearing, see in the crack here, you got a bearing on this side and you got a bearing on this side, and then right here in the middle you've got a little space, and that's what the directions we're trying to show. Step 5, X-end motor tensioner assembly, which is this little dude right here. It says let's insert the square nut. So find the square nut in the parts. Here it's in this little bag right here. Insert the square nut. So if you hold the piece this way, with the hook arm facing this way, the square nut piece goes right here in the top of this. We'll drop that in. Try to drop that in. Probably have to force that in. Yeah, okay. Okay, in. Insert the 623H bearing into the X end idler. So I believe that's this dude right here. This is the 623 bearing. Yep, okay. Into the X end idler. So it's going to go inside the slot. So we just put the nylock here, right? Tilt it 90 degrees, you got this slot. Tilt it another 90 degrees, you got where the screw is going to go through. So you put this in here, and then use the M318 screw, which is this slightly longer one, in from this side through the, it's actually not lined up. So this is going to be a little bit of a struggle to line this up. So I'm going to do it this way instead, where I can see how far we're going. And then I'm going to try to use gravity to just sort of slide it around until it goes where I want it to go. There it is. All right. Now, if needed, use the M3 screw to pull in the nut, which is, of course, what I was about to do anyway. Place your finger on the bearing and make sure that it can rotate freely. That's it. Step 7, X-axis smooth rods assembly. Take the remaining smooth rods and compare their lengths. Where did my smooth rods go, you guys? Here they are. Two sizes. For X-axis, we need the longest rods. We need 3 more linear bearings. 1, 2, 3. We're right here in the step kit. And a permanent marker, not included in the kit. Several paper towels. Several paper towels to wipe grease from the surface. Okay, wipe grease from the outer surface of the bearing with the paper towel. Bearing. Put the bearing on here. Okay, so I've got a dry bearing, and they're asking to mark. So we talked about how the actual rows of bearings are at 130, 430, 730, and 1030, and what they want to do is mark the 12 o'clock position on the top of the bearing for some reason. And then you repeat that for the other 2 bearings as well. So step 9 is the X-axis assembly. Insert the rod straight into the bearings. Do not apply too much force and do not tilt the rod. This goes like this. And then this goes like, right? And then take these rods, and the rods go in to, not through the bearings, but through here. In this hole and in this hole. Then we're going to take 2 bearings on one and 1 bearing on the other. Then what we do is these holes here and these holes here. So it's not actually going through these bearings. It's going right into these holes. It looks like if you have everything set up this way, with this piece over here, etc., then the one with 2 bearings will go up here in this sort of forward position. And then the other one goes, oh, so dumb. You can't do them one at a time, can you? Okay. I don't think I'm applying too much pressure, and I feel like it's in there pretty good. Okay. There's a little window here, a little square, and a little window here. And in the instructions, it's very specific that you should see this rod through this window, which means you've pushed it in far enough. And mine is not currently visible in any of them. So what does that tell you? Okay. Click, click, click. Okay, so there it is. And I don't know. Now you can see the metal coming through that. So the rod is all the way in. Pretty smart for them to leave that window there. Step 10, assembling the X-axis motor pulley, part 1. So we need to prepare the X-axis motor, which the motor box I haven't seen in several days. But there it is. Fancy. So one of these should be X, extruder motor, X-axis motor, and the GT216 pulley, which is in this bag of parts for this step right here. So let's see, X-axis on the bottom right there, and this pulley. Part 2 says to, similar to the other one, find the flat part of this, compare it with the second picture. Okay, so it's saying for some reason on this one that the top part, which is flat, I mean, it can be wherever you put it, but I've arranged it up. This tightening screw goes on the flat part, and then there's another one counterclockwise from that. So let's say like the 9 o'clock position. One of the screws must be facing against the flat part. Yeah, don't press the pulley against the motor. Don't tighten. Yeah. So just like before, we are going to just kind of somewhat tighten this and then wait for the belt before it's like fully tightened. And I'm still really kind of surprised and annoyed that none of these Allen wrenches fit this thing. It's kind of nuts. So we've got that in place. Now we're going to connect this motor to this piece of the assembly. So to do that, we have M3 18 screws. So that's these guys right here, 1, 2, 3. They're a little bit longer than the 10s. So we'll take this just the way it is in this camera, and we'll take the motor and put it, the tail coming out of this side, away from the hook arm, and it just literally is going to attach right there, like that, with these 18 screws. So what I find is easiest is putting all these screws in. Now we'll line up those stubs of the screws sticking out the bottom with the motor mounts. Okay, so this is done. Easy chapter, 10%. So that's going to be 4. Good motivator. Okay. Final look compared to the picture. So there's a picture in the book. We're going to compare this to that. Looks the same to me. Done. There's. Okay, so Z-axis assembly. I guess we need to get that part out of here. Z-axis. There's some plastic parts for the Z-axis too. Here we go. Z-axis bag. Go ahead and dump all these parts out. I feel like I have extra screws here from something. That's not cool. Okay. There we go. Printed parts aren't the same. There's a left and a right side piece. So please make sure you look at the markings and the correct orientation of the frame so that the when you're working on it, the frame should be facing you, the logo, Prusa. And I know that obscures the camera a little bit, but this is what we're doing. These two pieces look the same, but apparently they aren't. Well, or maybe it's these two pieces. So this one has an R and this one has an L. So we know that that's right and left. Let's see. These pieces are not marked with anything, so they might be, well, they're opposite. They're very clearly opposite each other, so that's fine. So what we're going to do is Z-axis bottom left beat Z-axis bottom right, which are these 2 dealies and 6 of these 10 screws. And let's see here. So this one is the right, so that goes over here. And it's going to go right into these holes right here. So let's try to do that this way. So these triangle holes that are on this side is where we're going to put the right hand one, like that. So I'd put the screws into this first, sticking out the bottom, and then I'll line that up. Like this. And then we'll try to screw these bad boys in. One down. And then we'll do the other one. Okay. These are done. What is next? So now we're going to need a Z-axis motor. One for one side and one for the other side. Okay. Z-screw covers, which I assume are these little things. Okay, Z motor left. This one says right, so I'm going to put it on my right as I'm sitting here. This one says left. So we've got both of these. One has a longer wire than the other, and that is why it is apparently really important that you have them on the right side. So let's pull out 4 10 screws for each one of these, 4 M10s. Motor cables must be oriented towards the frame. I'm going to go ahead and pick this up like this. Okay. So what we're doing is we're going to take this. We're going to send this under here. Okay. The wires should be facing the back. And there's a little hole down there for that too. And then 4 screws holds this to the piece here. And that is how that is done. And then we can move right on to the next one. Okay, so these are done. Let's see what's next. Turn the X-axis upside down and insert nuts into traps on both X ends. So this plastic trapezoidal nut, they're calling it, goes into here, the hole next to the bearing. And then this one does the same thing. And those use M318s, I guess. Yeah, I skipped a step. So there is 2 slots for a nut on each corner of this piece. There's 2 here, and then there's 2 here. And so you put these little octagonal nuts in there first. I'm not sure how you're supposed to get in one of these because it's really kind of a difficult angle. So I realized that I actually skipped a small step. You see these right here. These are the Z screw covers, and you're supposed to just kind of put them on this long Z screw down here all the way to the bottom. Really simple step that I corrected after this part of the video, but I wanted to jump in to make sure that you guys didn't also miss that. So the first thing here is sliding these. Okay, so I think what's happening here is that these main screw heads are going to go through these holes that go up through where we just put those black things. So don't put this, accidentally through the bearings. Okay, so they want you to screw this until it comes down onto the, like this, where it's visible in the top, and that's far enough. Okay, next step here, these last remaining rods are to go through the bearings here, all the way down to the little slot on the bottom piece. Placing the top parts. So these pieces are the last 2 plastic pieces that we got out during this step. And these pieces go on the top. That's the end of that chapter. So another 4 of these little dudes. So we are definitely making some progress here. We've got the Y-axis carriage fully assembled with the belt, the motor's in place, the idler's in place. We have this X-axis fully connected, and everything looks right according to the picture in the book. So I think we're in a good spot to stop for today. So next time we're going to get into the extruder assembly, which is the E-axis, and start building that onto this part. And let's see. After that, IR sensor, hot end. Yeah, we're like halfway through. So that's it for today. I will come back and finish tomorrow. You'll see it tomorrow, but I'll make it tomorrow, and then we'll see how quickly I get it done. Thanks for watching.
Hi, I made a thing.